I've seen a lot of news articles recently about how millennials cannot afford homes, and I don't think that is entirely true. And the purpose of this video is to share with you some creative ways to actually try and buy property without dealing with a bank, without dealing with a traditional lender, not having to worry about all the qualifications so that you, if you're a millennial, can buy property by playing not by the bank's rules, but by investors' rules. A quick anecdote, this works for townhomes, condos, and houses. This does not work for apartments because apartments are owned in its entirety. You have one property for the entire apartment complex. Essentially, this video is about creative financing, which I'll be making plenty of videos on this channel about. And what I want you to do while watching these videos is to start to get creative in how you can use financing as a way to get into properties without playing by the bank's rules. If you think about it, the banks are going to want W-2s, long work history, good credit scores. They don't want to see any type of foreclosure or eviction. They need pay stubs, bank statements, all of these requirements to get into property. But that's not how you need to buy property. You don't need all of that. Now you do if you want to go through a traditional lender, but if you're an investor-minded individual and you want to be able to buy property without meeting all of those requirements, then you'll need to use seller financing. And there's many ways within the seller financing idea that you can get into properties and not have to go through a traditional lender. Now I'm not going to go through all of them today, but I'm going to just give you a quick idea on how you can buy a property with little or no money down. Now this will require you to talk to property owners off market, meaning this could work, but it most likely will not work with property owners that are looking to sell their house on market or on the MLS or what you'd see on Zillow today, because those people typically want a big cash payout. They want to sell their home and get the equity in the house today. Two of my first deals have involved seller financing. One of them was what's called a seller carry, which is where the seller owned the house or the property in its entirety. There was no mortgage on the property, so he never had to check my credit, never had to check my W-2 income, my bank statements, pay stubs, none of that. I was able to purchase the property with only $20,000 down. If I had gone through a traditional bank, it probably would have required up to $65,000 down. So about a $45,000 difference that I was able to get into an investment property and not have to deal with the bank. And I've made a video on it that seems to be real popular amongst my subscribers. If you want to check that out, it's about how I bought a fourplex using seller financing. Let's say you're a millennial and you are currently renting and you are unsure of how you'll be able to purchase a property, which I hope this video is going to be perfect for you. So I'm going to grab my phone right here and I'm going to pretend to do exactly what I'm going to talk about in this video, how you can give your property owner the opportunity to sell the house to you for no money down. So what you want to do is you'll want to call up the property owner and you'll hopefully have their number because you're renting from them. Now, if they're using a property manager, you might have to go through a property manager, but let's just hypothetically say you're talking to the owner. And I'll also share with you quickly how you can find the property owner if you do not currently talk to them. You can go through the tax assessor website, which is typically found online by Googling your county. So here in Las Vegas, it'll be Clark County Tax Assessor. And then you can go into the property records and either do a search by their name or the property address. And you'll be able to find the mailing address, which if you are really interested in doing this, send them a personalized mailer saying that you're the renter in that house or that property and that you'd like to talk to them about buying it and leave them with your contact information. So let's just hypothetically say they sent you back their number or you are already in touch with them. So you can call them up and say, hey, Mr. Property Owner, I'm Spencer. I'm currently renting from you, and I am interested in purchasing this property. I've been a great tenant so far. I've been paying every month, and right now is a great time to sell, and here is why you should sell to me. Now, if you're really good at sales, you might not need this help. This is not a how-to on a sales, this isn't how-to sales technique video, so you can definitely do a lot better than what I'm going to tell you, but focus on what I'm saying and the pitches that you can provide to the property owner. So think about it like this, Mr. Property Owner. When you go to sell this property, anytime you do in the next 10 or 30 years, whenever you want to sell it, you're going to need to pay agents in order to sell the property. So with agents comes a 6% charge. So let's just say hypothetically, it's a $300,000 property. If you are going to sell this property, you're going to need to pay agents 6%, which is $18,000. So if you buy this house, viewer who are renting, you're going to save the owner $18,000 on a $300,000 property. How does that sound to you, Mr. Owner? See how easy it is now to at least get them interested. And that's on a $300,000 house. Some of you watching this video could be in a $500,000, $700,000 house, and it would obviously be significantly more. Now also, when you go to sell, there's going to be the headache, the stress of selling. And sometimes when you sell, you're going to have to deal with an inspection that comes back negative, and the seller's going to need to provide some type of seller concessions and all that stuff. So there's a lot of things that I won't require of you when you sell the property to me that I will take care of. You already live in the property, so you know it's fine, everything's working, so you don't have to deal with the inspection, Mr. Property Owner. How does that sound to you? Right? You see how we now have two different key points to have the Mr. Property Owner interested in selling us the property. Here's another key point for you watching this video. So, Mr. Property Owner, how would you like it if you no longer had to handle the maintenance and repairs? Remember the flooring that had a little issue a month ago? Remember the plumbing 6 months ago that you had to pay for? How about this? I'll cover those expenses from you for now on. Think about it. If you're the investor and you're owning this property, you do not want to have to pay property management, maintenance, and repairs. So you watching this video, that's what you're going to present to the property owner. You're going to let him know that you'll now cover it. Now, in turn, you're going to own the property. So you can do what's called a lease option. Now, I'll put the phone down because the conversation's over. So what a lease option is commonly known as rent to own. And what that means is right now, starting today, if you were to buy the property, you could have an option fee of really whatever you want. And in this case, since the title of the video is without any money, let's say the option fee is $0. You're just currently renting, but with this option, you're going to pay no money for the fee. But with this option, it allows you at some point in time to buy a property at a predetermined price. So let's say today the property is worth $100,000. You say, hey, Mr. Property Owner, I'll buy the property from you for $100,000. You're going to save the 6%. You're no longer going to have to deal with the maintenance, repairs, or property management. None of that. I'll stay on this property and I'll buy it at agreed upon date. Now, what I'd recommend to you is sometime down the road, maybe 5 to 10 years personally, but that's kind of outside the scope of this video. So within the scope of this video, we'll talk about lease options. And I'm going to say it a couple times because I want you to now do your research on lease options, but it's essentially where you are currently renting from the owner and you are in contract to purchase it, okay? So when you go to purchase it, we'll be at that agreed upon date, which is in the future. So that is why it's known as rent to own, because you're currently renting and you will own it in the future. Now the benefit to you, the renter, is as follows. Number one, you do not have to deal with a bank or a traditional lender. Two, you don't have to worry about the qualification process. Number three, what I described to you is a no money down scenario. Number four, you can act as the owner during the lease option period, which allows you to treat the property as it is your own. Number five, the owner cannot break the contract. Let's say you agree to buy the house at $200,000 in November of 2019. And let's say the option is for November of 2024 for you to purchase it. Let's say hypothetically that the market has taken off and in that area within your city, the property is now worth $250,000. Well, guess what? The owner cannot break the contract and sell it for $250,000. He's going to sell it to you for $200,000, and that $50,000 is yours as the down payment on your mortgage. Number six, as you're currently renting throughout the lease option period, the equity that is being built in the current mortgage is actually yours. So let's just say hypothetically that it's a $200,000 option to purchase, and the seller makes $1,000 a month payment to their mortgage, and $200 of that is equity. Well, over the period of a year, if $200 of your rent to the owner is equity, that's an additional $2,400 a year that is equity in your pocket when you go to actually purchase it. And he can't take that from you at all. So if you think about it, if you're doing an option period for 3 to 5 years, you could have upwards of $10,000 to $20,000 in equity that you were paying in rent will actually be in your pocket when you go to purchase the property. We just discussed all the benefits as the buyer. Well, what are the benefits as the owner? Number one is a guaranteed renter in the property. The absolute most important thing for any type of investor or landlord is having renters in place that are paying every time. And you are just that. You're paying every time and you're a good tenant. And therefore for them, they are guaranteeing to have a renter in place for the longevity of the option period. Number two, because the lease option allows you to control the property as if it's your own, they no longer have to deal with maintenance, repairs, property management, or marketing, or fixing up the units in between tenants, or dealing with finding new tenants when you move out. None of that, which is the biggest headaches for landlords. So you're removing the biggest headache from their plate. Number four, you are saving them a lot of money in closing costs. I had mentioned 6% for agent fees, which is common. So if you just think about the average purchase price of your area, whatever the property you're looking to purchase, and multiply that by 6%, you are saving them that much money when they go to sell the property. And by agreeing to buy it at full market value, you are giving them the ability to sell their property at full market value, which is not always the case. Sometimes when you go to sell, it's worth $300,000, but just at that moment in time, buyers are only willing to pay $292,000, right? You think about all the little expenses that add up. That's another $8,000 that they would be saving by letting you buy their property. This video is really important to me because seller financing is absolutely critical if you want to start owning property without having to deal with the banks. If you're a millennial and don't have all the money for down payment and all the qualifications and all that crap, as I like to call it, because I do not like playing by the bank's rules, neither should you. Let's focus on getting into property using creative financing. That is what I want you to get out of these videos as the viewer, and I hope this video was really, really helpful. I know I didn't go into too much detail about lease options and all that. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. Please like the video if you enjoyed this video, and leave a comment if you were able to learn anything or disagreed. I would love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching.